Hello?
Hey man, you ready?
I think I'm as ready for this as I can be. I've reviewed the pitch so many times, gone through so many questions. This is the best it gets for tomorrow.
Alright. Where are you?
I'm doing good. Each day is getting better. I feel like I'm finally getting in the groove now and starting to feel comfortable.
Awesome. Glad to hear. I'm parked outside right now. I'm asking if you're ready to go to the concert.
Oh, right. I'll be there in 5. Everything is connected. To learn anything, you have to build on what you already know. Whether it's science, art, or philosophy, we can connect everything to anything. So let's learn anything. Let's find those connections and let's build our intuition. Welcome to Intuition. I'm your host, Evan Noche, and the question I want to explore today is, where are you? Now, of course, the simplest answer is in my car or in my room. But I feel that there is a couple things wrong with such an answer. If you are currently in anything that's moving, how can something that's not stationary be a place? Often when we think of places we want to go, we think of Paris, Rome, and New York, not planes, trains, and automobiles. And if you're currently in a room, well, what defines that room as a place? Does it have to have walls? Can I just put up a picket fence and call it my room? A room isn't a thing per se. It's a category, a dependent variable, relying on other things to define it. Now, if we zoom out, we may say the state or country is where we reside. But for the same reasons as the room, this is also inadequate. There is no physical thing that defines a state or country. They are purely theoretical. Lines on a map. Bears on the border of Washington and Oregon are not going to notice a difference as they cross the state line. If you're clever, you may think of a specific latitude and longitude and height from sea level that you currently reside in. This must be the exact location, as there are no duplicates, and only one place on the planet can have that answer. And, of course, I could say, what about our position in the solar system, since Earth moves around the sun? What about the galaxy? What about the universe? This line of questioning could go on forever, and frankly, this isn't even what I was wanting to talk about. But I wanted to get your mind working in this level of thought. There is a reason famed philosopher Socrates was called the gadfly of Athens. His insistence on specifics of phrasing and thought were as annoying as they are thought-provoking. So, forgive me if I've been annoying up to this point. What is that?
What does it mean to be moral?
It's asking me questions. Help!
What is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything?
It's a philosopher. Run for the hills! Though we often use the phrase, "Where are you?" to indicate a physical place, sometimes we use it to describe the emotional state one is in. This is rather strange, as emotional states aren't places. Yet we have language like headspace, head in the clouds, keep your head on straight, all of which use physical placement to describe how we're feeling or thinking. How is it that physicality has manifested itself inside of emotional discussions? Maybe because physicality is a lot easier to describe than non-physicality. For example, if I say the apple is on the table, it is a lot easier to come to a consensus of what image I'm describing. A shiny red apple sitting on a piece of wood or metal suspended off the ground. It's a lot more difficult to picture what is happening when I say Evan is sad. Is Evan frowning, moping around the room, not acting enthusiastically? It's hard to say what constitutes as sad. If I say Evan's head hung low, it's a lot easier to picture how they're feeling. Yet I didn't even say an emotion in that sentence. Keep that physicality in mind while we switch gears. Right now, you are listening to my voice through some sort of speaker. The sound is traveling into your ears and registering it as my voice. If you are reading this, then your eyes are translating these symbols in front of you into my words, as if I were talking directly to you. No matter which sense you are using, the same thing is happening. I am addressing you. But what are you? Your eyes? Your ears? Your brain? Where are you? How much of yourself would have to remain before you become someone else? Our cells change and replace, yet years later we still call ourselves the same person as the baby that grew up. If I have a heart transplant, you would probably say I'm the same person. Yet if I have a change of heart, you might say I'm not acting like myself. If we removed your brain and placed it in a jar, but you could still have the same memories and thinking capacity you have now, would you be the same person? Would you be a person? Maybe. You are your entire body. The problem, though, is that I can lose a limb or not be born with one, and I would still be a person. In other words, I can't be less of a person because I don't have all my extremities. And of course, being a person is, in a lot of ways, like trying to be a room. It's a category defined by other things. All right. While you stew on that, we're going to take a break. And when we get back, we'll dive more into this you person and introduce the non-physical into this physical debate, the soul. Theseus, old sport, is that you? Hobbs, good to see you, old friend. My, you didn't tell me you got a new boat. How do you mean, friend? This is my old boat. It looks brand new. Ah, I see the confusion. The Athenians were so nice to preserve my ship by replacing each decaying piece. What you see before you is the same ship with just replacement parts. Every piece has been replaced? That's right. Then it is a new boat. Don't be silly, Hobbs. The boat never changed places. Just the parts did. Fine. Then what of this ship over here? It looks exactly like your old ship. Not on the ball today, Hobbs. That's my new ship. But it's practically falling apart. Well, I've had so many parts from the old ship that I figured I could cobble together another ship. So there she is, my new ship. Made from every part of your old ship? Correct. Then it is your old ship. Nonsense, hogwash. That ship was built from the ground up. It's new. I don't have time for this. Well, are we taking the old new ship or the new old ship then? Yes. That's enough for me. See you next millennia. Welcome back. Before the break, I mentioned an interesting connection between the physical world and the non-physical world, the soul. Now, regardless of what you may think spiritually about the soul, we use the word soul in our daily lives to describe the core or center of something. The soul of a musical piece or movie is looking at what drives or motivates the notes or images we see. Therefore, if we want to extend this to a person, the soul is the core that drives everything that they do. Relating this to everything we've already discussed, we could say that the soul is the crucial component that constitutes you, whether you believe it is physical or non-physical. I argue that the foundation of medicine, psychology, and philosophy has revolved around finding the soul in the person, finding where you are. Bear with me. Long before the revolutionary works of philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle, the soul and body were seen as one and the same. This means that the loss of a leg would be considered a loss of soul. It wasn't until the works of Homer, the poet, not the Simpson, that we started to think about multiple portions of the soul. An active portion responsible for breath and heartbeats, and an identity portion, giving purpose to movement. Before this, it would be impossible to distinguish helping someone physically versus helping someone mentally. So, this discussion of soul is already setting the foundation for medicine and psychology to analyze a person's body separate from their thoughts. From Homer's concept of the soul, Plato and Hippocrates built off of each aspect of this Homeric soul to create the fields of medicine and cognitive science. Plato divided the human soul into three components: the rational, the spirited, and the appetitive. He claimed that the brain was the center of humanity. This three-part hierarchy with the brain at its center is very similar to the works of Freud. He broke the psyche residing in the brain into the ego, superego, and id. A discussion of the soul in ancient Greece had an almost identical conclusion to a founding member of psychology. Hippocrates is often referred to as the father of modern science. He believed that to properly treat a patient, you had to examine them, observe the symptoms, make a diagnosis, and then treat them. For the most part, this methodology is still being used today despite the vast differences in knowledge and technology between then and now. So, where does the soul fit in? Despite his scientific methods in conducting medicine, Hippocrates relied on the soul for his diagnoses. Air was often stated by Hippocratic authors as a direct connection to the health of life and soul. As such, poor breathing would be a result of a weakened soul, and poor air quality would result in a weakened soul. Hippocrates was influenced by the ancient concept of the soul when he made his foundational medical theories.
Hey, Doc, I ain't feeling so good.
Well, then let's take a look at you. Breathe in and out. Well, I think I found the problem.
Give it to me straight.
You're breathing air.
Yeah?
I'm writing a prescription for better air.
Thanks?
That'll be $10,000. All right, one last philosopher before I let you go. And this is one of my personal favorites, Aristotle. Contrary to Plato and Hippocrates, he believed the soul was the expression of humanity. In his view, divinity and immortality were not important. A soul was defined as what the body did. As such, he placed the heart as the center of the soul, as it reaches every corner of the body. I believe that Aristotle's view is the last stitch in the tapestry of the question we sought to answer. Where are you? Was any depiction of the soul correct? No, it can't be. The truth must lie somewhere in the middle. Whether physical or non-physical, we have some sort of core. Some maestro conducting the orchestra that is our mind and body. It is revealed to us only in fragments, in expressions of the heart, like art and music, and in drive that gives us the everlasting push to grow, change, or do more than just survive. It doesn't really matter the true location of yourself. All that matters is that you are aware that it's there. So whether you're inspired, humbled, or happy, in a car, on a plane, in space, in your room, you are here. If you like what you heard here and want to learn more, the content from this episode comes in part from the research article, The Anatomic Location of the Soul from the Heart through the Brain to the Whole Body and Beyond by Santoro et al., as well as other research articles found in the description. If you'd like to view a transcript or want to cite this episode, that information is also in the description. Intuition is an independent project currently run only by myself, so if you want to hear more, please share this with friends and family. Your support is invaluable. That means valuable, by the way.